Imagine, just for a moment, that the thing you desire most has already come to pass. Not in some distant future, not dependent on time or circumstance, but now, complete, real, and yours. Close your eyes to the external world, to the noise and delay, and enter the sacred silence where all things are already made. In that place, you are not waiting, you are knowing. You are not hoping, you are possessing. You are not striving, you are being. That is the difference between the one who dreams and the one who creates. One believes it might happen, the other walks in the reality of its fulfillment. This is not about blind belief, it is about spiritual certainty. A deeper knowing that what you have imagined is more real than what your five senses can confirm. Your senses deceive. They report the past. They show you a reflection of your former states of being. But your imagination, your inner world, is the birthplace of all that will be. When you act as if it is already done, you are no longer trying to bring it about. You are simply allowing the unseen to take form, like mist becoming rain, like thought becoming flesh. What you accept inwardly without doubt or contradiction must express itself outwardly. Life has no choice, it is law. When the inner man moves in conviction, the outer world bends in obedience. You do not need to force outcomes, manipulate circumstances, or plead with others. You only need to walk in the assumption that what you desire is already yours. It is finished, and from that invisible conclusion, everything else must follow. Think of a man who longs to be wealthy. He does not become rich by merely wishing. He becomes rich when he walks, talks, thinks, and feels like a wealthy man. Not arrogance, but embodiment. Not pretense, but presence. He sleeps in the consciousness of affluence. He wakes up with the calm assurance that his wealth is secure. The world, seeing only what he expresses, begins to mirror it back. Opportunities, people, events, they arise to match his inner certainty. He did not chase them, they were drawn to his state. Or imagine a woman desiring love. She does not sit and cry in the absence of it. She clothes herself in love's feeling. She moves through life as if love is her constant companion. She smiles as though she is already adored. She speaks with the sweetness of someone treasured. And because she has prepared a place within her heart, love must appear. Not as a random miracle, but as a faithful consequence of the state she lives in. Every desire is a seed, and acting as if it is already done is the watering of that seed. It is the warmth, the light, the care that allows the unseen tree to grow. But many destroy their seed through doubt, impatience, or disbelief. They plant it in the garden of the mind, then dig it up each day to check for progress. They do not trust the process. They do not live from the end. They live from the waiting. And so they remain suspended in lack. You must not wait to feel the joy of your dream. Feel it now. Embody the result now. Give thanks now. Live as if the door has already opened, the letters already arrived, the healing has already occurred, the change has already happened. Your feeling is the secret. It is the magnet. It is the voice that calls the future into the present. If you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the outer world will align itself to reflect your inner conviction. The mind, once impressed by the truth of a fulfilled desire, reshapes every thought to serve that reality. You will find yourself speaking differently, choosing differently, walking differently. Not because you are forcing yourself to, but because your state has shifted, and a new state expresses itself automatically. Like water flowing downhill, your reality begins to gather around the assumption you carry. Acting as if does not mean pretending. It means living in the unseen truth so faithfully that it must become seen. It means entering the feeling of the fulfilled state and refusing to betray it. It means turning away from appearances and anchoring yourself in the deeper vision. Others may call it delusion, but what they call delusion, you will call destiny. Because every man who changed the world first changed his inner world. He lived ahead of the evidence, and the evidence arrived in time. If you can remain faithful to that unseen reality, if you can rise in the morning and feel the joy of it, walk through the day with the dignity of it, and rest at night in the peace of it, you will know the power of creation, not through effort, but through embodiment, not by fighting the world, but by transcending it. What is done within must echo without. So live from it now, not tomorrow, not after proof, but now, as if it is already done. To live from the end is to accept without resistance or question that your desire is already accomplished. It is not a process of trying, waiting, or hoping. It is the deliberate movement of consciousness into the state where the desired thing is already real. You no longer look at the thing you want from a distance. You occupy. You dwell in it. You think from it. The shift is subtle yet absolute. It changes the way you think, feel, speak, and respond. Not because you are forcing it, but because your identity has changed. You are no longer a seeker, you are the possessor. And that change in identity transforms everything. Living from the end means walking through life as if the outcome you once desired has already been realized. If you desire success, you do not act as someone chasing success. You act as someone who already lives in it. You make decisions from that place. You hold conversations from that place. You carry yourself with the composure, certainty, and quiet confidence of someone who already possesses what they once longed for. This is not a performance. It is not a game of fake it until you make it. It is an inner shift in awareness. You no longer identify with lack. You no longer identify with absence. You identify with fulfillment, and fulfillment begins to take form. Everything in life is governed by the state of consciousness you dwell in. The world, despite appearances, is not responding to your words, your efforts, or even your desires. It is responding to your inner state, and your state is determined by what you accept as true. When you live from the end, you are not trying to get to your goal. You are allowing it to unfold because in your inner world, it is already finished. You are not pushing, chasing, or doubting. You are being, and being has power. Many people live in the state of I want. They feel the absence of their desire and call that focus. But to feel the absence of what you want is to perpetuate the very state you wish to escape. You cannot manifest fulfillment while identifying with lack. You must move your awareness to the state of I have. This is the essence of living from the end. You feel the satisfaction now. You feel the relief. You feel the joy now. Not because you are delusional, but because you understand that consciousness is the only reality. And whatever you accept inwardly with feeling must be expressed outwardly in form. Think of it as building a house. You begin not with the wood or stone, but with the blueprint. The structure exists in your mind before it exists on your land. In the same way, your fulfilled desire must exist in your imagination before it can take shape in the world. If you refuse to live in the house of your imagination, the outer world has nothing to build from. But if you dwell in it, if you see it, feel it, occupy it daily, then the tools of reality begin to assemble what already exists in the unseen. Living from the end is the act of moving in before the house appears. And your faith in that movement brings the house into view. This principle applies to all things. If you desire love, you do not wait to feel loved. You feel it now. You move as one who is cherished, chosen, and deeply seen. You do not seek validation. You express completeness. If you desire healing, you do not focus on sickness. You walk, breathe, and think as one who has been restored. You do not argue with symptoms. You align with the reality of wellness. And slowly, silently, surely, the body obeys the mind that commands from a place of certainty. If you desire financial abundance, you do not dwell in fear of bills or struggle. You carry the energy of someone who already has enough, gives freely, and moves confidently. The world, watching your new rhythm, begins to echo it. Living from the end demands imagination and discipline. You must turn your back on appearances and hold fast to the unseen truth. This is where many falter. They return to the senses for confirmation, and when the world shows the old state, they collapse back into doubt. But living from the end means persisting in the new state, even when the outer world denies it, especially when it denies it. That denial is not a sign of failure. It is a test of loyalty. Will you serve the old reality, or will you remain faithful to your inner knowing? Those who succeed are those who do not abandon their vision. They live in the result, and the world must catch up. The mind is the womb of reality. Whatever is conceived there, held in feeling and protected from doubt, must be born. Living from the end is the act of conception. It is the moment you move from wanting to having, from separation to union. It is an invisible shift, but one with visible consequences. When you walk in the end, speak from the end, and sleep in the end, you are announcing to the universe that the work is done. And because creation responds to your assumption, it begins to arrange the world accordingly. You do not need to know how it will happen. The mechanism is not your concern. The path is none of your business. What matters is the state you dwell in. The state carries within it the pattern, the direction, and the means of expression. Live from the state, and the details take care of themselves. That is the beauty of this principle. You are not the doer, you are the chooser. And when you choose the end and dwell in it with feeling, the doing is done through you. There is a sacred confidence that comes from living in the end. It quiets fear, it dissolves impatience, it silences doubt. You are no longer on a journey toward your dream. You are resting in the reality of it. Every step you take, every word you speak, every action you perform is colored by that deep certainty. You no longer ask if it will happen. You ask, what would I do now that it already has? And that question becomes your compass. It leads you not into effort but into flow, not into striving but into inspired movement. Because you are not creating, you are revealing. You are not becoming, you are being. Feeling is the language of creation. It is not merely an emotional reaction, but the energetic signature that shapes the substance of your reality. The world around you moves not in response to your words, but to the feeling your words carry. Not to the images in your mind alone, but to the feeling that breathes life into those images. It is the secret power behind every manifestation, every shift, every change. When you understand this, you stop trying to convince the world with actions and instead begin to convince yourself with feeling. You step away from effort and lean into alignment, because once you feel the truth of something deeply, it begins to unfold without resistance. What you feel consistently, you attract. But more than attraction, you become a match to the experience itself. If you feel abundance, you move through life as one who possesses. If you feel love, you interact with others from a heart that is full, not lacking. If you feel health, your body follows the pattern that your emotions have declared as true. And this feeling is not fleeting. It is a state that must be cultivated, practiced, and guarded, and it must be felt even when circumstances argue otherwise. Because your current outer life is only the echo of previous feelings. It has no power over the now unless you give it that power again. This is why many struggle with change. They affirm new thoughts but carry old feelings. They declare new intentions while still soaking in fear, doubt, or longing. And so nothing shifts. Because it is not what you say that changes your world, it is what you feel when you say it. Repeating "I am successful" while feeling lack will only deepen your awareness of failure. Telling yourself "I am loved" while feeling rejection will only magnify the absence. But the moment you enter the actual feeling, when it wraps around you like warm light, when you breathe it, walk in it, rest in it, then the shift begins. That moment is sacred, and it must be honored. To change your life, you must learn to generate feeling intentionally. This is not false or forced. It is imaginative and spiritual. You must become the actor and director of your own inner world. Close your eyes and ask, if it were already true, how would I feel? Let that answer rise from within, not as a question, but as a knowing. Let it shape your breathing, your posture, your expression. Let it affect the way you stand, the way you look at the world. This is not pretending. It is becoming. It is touching the end with your heart. and allowing it to become your current emotional reality. The moment you feel differently, life begins to treat you differently. People respond to the energy you emit, often without knowing why. Circumstances shift to match your vibration. Doors you could not force open begin to unlock. Because feeling is magnetic, it draws to itself all that corresponds to its frequency. There is no need for desperation. There is no need to beg or push. There is only the need to feel the truth and hold it until the world catches up. It is not enough to feel once and let it fade. You must revisit the feeling daily, nourish it, and live in it. This requires a kind of inner discipline, not a harsh, rigid one, but a loving devotion to the life you know is yours. Set aside time to enter the state through imagination. Build scenes that imply your desire is fulfilled. And most importantly, feel those scenes as real. Let them fill your senses. Let them warm your body. Let them soak into your spirit. The deeper the feeling, the faster the formation. Surface thoughts do little, but deep emotional conviction, the kind that makes your chest expand and your breath slow, that is where the true power lies. Many underestimate how subtle and powerful this process is. They look for signs, for proof, for evidence. But the real evidence is internal. If you can sustain the feeling of being who you desire to be, life will mirror it without fail. The delay is only ever due to your return to the old feeling. Each time you doubt, you are stepping back into the shadow of the former self. Each time you worry, you are choosing the reality of lack. But the moment you return to the feeling of the fulfilled state, you are back on the path of alignment. This is why it is said that the feeling is the secret, because it is. It is the invisible ink that writes the script of your life. The universe reads not your intentions, but your emotional tones. It hears not your words, but your vibration, and it responds accordingly. You do not receive what you want, you receive what you are, and you are what you feel. If you feel unworthy, life cannot deliver to you the things that belong to someone who feels worthy. If you feel small, you will miss the opportunities designed for someone standing tall. If you feel unseen, the world will look past you no matter how brightly you try to shine. But if you feel chosen, doors open. If you feel blessed, blessings find you. If you feel powerful, circumstances bend to your will. The inner feeling is the mold, and life pours itself into that mold to take shape. So you must become the master of feeling, not a victim of emotion, but a creator of it. Choose the feeling that matches your desire and wear it like a garment. When the world tells you otherwise, do not argue. Simply return to the feeling. Let the noise fade and the truth rise again. Feel it when you walk. Feel it when you wait. Feel it when you are alone. Let it saturate you until it becomes second nature. Do not wait for something to happen in the world before you give yourself permission to feel. That is the great mistake. You must feel it first. You must live in the result before the result appears. Because the appearance is the echo, not the cause. The cause is within. The root is always in the unseen. The seen is merely fruit. When the inner feeling has matured, the outer event must come. It may come in ways you did not expect. It may arrive through channels you could never predict. But come it will. Because you've already accepted it. You have already felt it. And the universe always completes what the soul has begun. When you dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, life aligns, not because you forced it, but because you finally matched it. And what you match, you meet. Your inner state is the architect of your world. It is the silent scriptwriter, the unseen blueprint, the quiet governor of everything you experience on the outside. Though many chase outcomes, fight circumstances, and react to appearances, the wise understand that everything begins within. It is not the world that determines your mood. It is your mood that paints the world. If you wake in the consciousness of defeat, no success can comfort you. But if you rise in the awareness of victory, even in moments of loss, you carry a strength that alters the very fabric of what happens around you. The world is not happening to you, it is responding to you. Your thoughts, when combined with feeling, become your inner state. But it is not just fleeting thoughts that shape reality. It is the consistent dwelling place of your attention. Wherever you give your emotional energy to, whether joy or fear, faith or worry, becomes your dominant vibration. And that vibration draws experiences that match it. This is not superstition, it is spiritual law. A man cannot habitually dwell in the feeling of failure and expect his life to bloom with success. Nor can someone who constantly imagines rejection find themselves embraced by love. What you carry within is what you radiate. And what you radiate determines what life mirrors back to you. The outer world is like a screen, and your inner state is the projector. You cannot change the film by scratching the screen. You must change the reel. The mistake most people make is to fight the reflection while ignoring the source. They argue with events, resist circumstances, blame others, or wait for external change. But the only change that lasts, the only change that creates new conditions, is the change that begins in your consciousness. As you shift your inner state, everything around you must respond. People change, opportunities arrive, synchronicities appear. Because life, at its deepest level, is obedient to the posture of your spirit. To live from the right state is to live in alignment with your desire. If you want peace, you must become peace. If you desire abundance, you must embody abundance. Not in words, but in the silent feeling that fills your chest and guides your actions. The person who feels poor, even with money in their hand, will find a way to lose it. The one who feels rich, even with nothing, begins to draw increase into their life. Because it is not the bank account that dictates wealth, it is the state of mind. And the state of mind eventually finds expression in the outer realm. Everything in your life today is a perfect reflection of your previous states. This is a difficult truth for some to accept because it strips away the illusion of blame. But it is also the most empowering truth because it returns the power to you. If your current state created your current world, then a new state can create a new world. You are not bound by the past. You are not a prisoner of circumstances. You are the creator, whether you know it or not. The moment you shift your inner state, the shift in your outer world becomes inevitable. Changing your state is not about pretending. It is about feeling into the truth of your desired reality and living from that place. Suppose you are seeking love. If your dominant inner state is loneliness, you will unconsciously behave in ways that reinforce that reality. You might withdraw, fear rejection, or doubt your worth. But if your inner state is one of being loved and valued, your actions will reflect confidence, openness, and trust. The people you attract, the situations you find yourself in, and the responses you receive will all begin to align with the vibration of that state. You do not need to ask how. You do not need to force anything. The how is never your responsibility. Your only task is to enter and remain in the state that matches your desire. From that place, inspired actions arise naturally. Guidance appears, things happen, but they happen as a result of your internal alignment, not as a requirement for it. This is where most get it backward. They think they must act their way into a new feeling. But the truth is you must feel your way into a new way of acting. Behavior is a byproduct. The root is always the state. Every time you return to the old state, to worry, fear, unworthiness, you recreate the same experiences. That's why cycles repeat. That's why some people, no matter what changes on the outside, find themselves facing the same struggles. Because they never left the state that created the struggle. But the moment you decide to live in a new consciousness, the moment you refuse to entertain the emotions of the former self, you begin to write a new script. It may not appear instantly, it may not shout in your face, but slowly, quietly, steadily, the world begins to change. You can test this principle in small ways. Begin with simple desires. Choose to dwell in the feeling of success today. Even if nothing around you looks successful, choose to carry the energy of someone who wins. Watch how people respond. Notice how differently you speak and carry yourself. Or choose to dwell in the state of gratitude. Not gratitude for what you hope will come, but gratitude as if it already has. Feel the warmth of that inner joy and see how your day shifts. You will begin to see evidence of your new state because you are no longer waiting for something outside to change. You are changing the inside. Some may say, but how do I stay in that state when life pushes me down? The answer is practice. Like any habit, staying in a high state requires attention. It is a spiritual discipline. When you fall, you get up. When you forget, you return. You are not trying to be perfect. You are training yourself to live from truth. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Eventually, the new state becomes your default. And from that place, life begins to serve you differently. This is the secret many miss. Life is not personal. It is lawful. It does not reward effort alone, or struggle, or even goodness. It rewards alignment. It reflects the state you live in most often. If you can remain in the consciousness of your desired outcome, you will begin to see that outcome take form around you. Not because the world changed randomly, but because you changed deliberately. And your change, unseen by others, becomes undeniable through the unfolding of events that match your new vibration. Imagination is not a fantasy. It is the spiritual workshop where all things begin. Long before anything becomes visible in your world, it is first fashioned in the unseen realm of the mind. This is the great secret known by the few and dismissed by the many. Most people use their imagination passively, allowing it to drift into fear, worry, or limitation. They think imagination is a toy for children or an escape from reality, when in truth, it is the very foundation of reality itself. Everything that exists, every building, every invention, every relationship, every moment of success, first lived as a picture, a scene, a felt vision in someone's inner world. Nothing enters your experience until it is first imagined with belief. When you begin to use imagination with intention, you realize that you are not merely reacting to life. You are shaping it. You are not a spectator. You are the author. You may not hold a pen, but every image you sustain, every feeling you attach to that image, writes the next chapter of your story. Imagination is the creative force of the universe, clothed in personal form. It is not limited by time or space. It is not bound by facts or logic. It moves beyond what the senses can perceive and plants seeds in the soul of the subconscious mind. And once planted, those seeds grow, they attract, they arrange, they build the pathway to the very thing you imagine. But not all imagination creates. Only that which is felt as real, lived in with feeling, trusted without contradiction, takes root. The idle daydream, no matter how beautiful, will not manifest unless it is accompanied by conviction. This is where most fall short. They entertain lovely thoughts, but never enter the state of already being the person they wish to become. They imagine success, but immediately question its possibility. They see love in the mind, but in their heart they doubt its arrival. This split in belief weakens the image. The subconscious mind does not respond to weak commands. It responds to the certainty of the one who dares to feel it as done. To imagine effectively is to see with spiritual eyes and feel with spiritual senses. You close your physical eyes, not to escape the world, but to reshape it. In that inner sanctuary, you construct the scene that implies your wish is fulfilled. You build it vividly. You give it color, sound, texture, movement. You do not look at the scene from a distance. You step into it. You see from within it. You become the version of yourself who already possesses what you seek. And once you feel that version in your bones, you allow it to saturate your entire being. You carry it into the world like a fragrance, invisible but unmistakable. The world cannot resist a man or woman who walks in the feeling of fulfilled imagination. Such a person is magnetic. They do not beg for change, they embody it. They do not chase outcomes, they attract them. Their words carry weight. Their silence carries power. Even when nothing seems to be happening, everything is shifting behind the curtain of the visible world. For the one who trusts imagination understands that what is seen is always a shadow of what is first unseen. You do not wait for proof. You become the proof. You must protect your inner world with fierce discipline. You cannot afford to imagine failure and wonder why things fall apart. You cannot dwell on rejection and expect acceptance. You cannot entertain images of fear and expect peace. Your imagination is not just for fleeting escape. It is the womb of your future. What you repeatedly picture with emotion becomes your dominant state, and what becomes your dominant state must eventually express itself in your life. This is why it is said that imagination is more real than reality, because imagination creates reality. What you see today is only the echo of yesterday's belief. If you want to change tomorrow, you must change what you imagine today. You must practice the scenes that lift your spirit. You must rehearse your future until it becomes more familiar than your past. You must revisit the images that carry you to your desired end, not once, not twice, but continually, until the image hardens into fact. Some will say this is delusion, that imagining without evidence is foolish. But those who truly understand know this. The world only changes for those who imagine boldly. Those who dare to believe in the unseen are the ones who shape the scene. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every story of transformation begins with a person who dared to imagine something better. And not just imagine it, but feel it, walk in it, trust it. Before there was a single sign, it was possible. This power belongs to you. It has always belonged to you. The question is not whether you are imagining, but what you are imagining. You are always creating, consciously or unconsciously. If you do not direct your imagination, it will be directed for you by fear, by memory, by the environment around you. But once you take hold of it, once you deliberately choose the images that reflect your deepest desires, you step into the role of the true creator. You become the master of your fate, not by control, but by vision. Not by force, but by faith. Imagination is the inner proof of things not seen. When you have it within, you no longer need to look without for reassurance. You walk with a calm authority. You live with a quiet knowing. And life begins to mirror that certainty in the most surprising and beautiful ways. The people you need appear. The opportunities find you. The doors that were once closed begin to open effortlessly. Not because you pushed, but because you prepared a place within for them to arrive. To live in this way is to trust the unseen more than the seen, to rely on imagination more than evidence, and to remain loyal to the vision even when nothing in the world supports it. It is to hold the image in the silence of night, to carry it through the noise of day, and to return to it again and again until the world has no choice but to catch up. You do not need to explain your vision. You do not need others to see it. You only need to see it yourself, clearly, vividly, and with unwavering faith.